I would say começamos mais um Pode Vir, but not. Actually, guys, just to let you know, this... I was just speaking English. Gente, hoje esse podcast vai ser em inglês, então eu vou tentar ao máximo colocar as legendas para vocês em português, tá? Então tudo depende do aplicativo, porém, this podcast today is gonna be in English, okay? So if you haven't subscribed in the channel, please subscribe to the channel, PodV. We are on Instagram, we are in TikTok, and we are on YouTube, of course, okay? So, my special guest for today, we're going to talk about lots of truth and myths, and she's quite spiritual. She's from Brazil. She's in a committed relationship. She's from Porto Alegre, in the south of Brazil. It's a beautiful place, by the way. She loves mate. She's a player of beach tennis, stepmother of 2 girls, and mother of 2 cats. She studied dietitian. She has a big research background. Her name is Karina Romeu. Welcome.
Yeah.
Finally, I get it right to the button, by the way. By the way, I get it right to the button because I never got right the button. I pressed many buttons here sometimes. I was like, oh my gosh. Another day was another guest and I pressed the button and was ha 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 ha. I was like, oh my gosh, what the fuck is happening?
Not the right time. Thank you.
Anyway, welcome. Thanks for coming and thanks for, participating here for this Body B. I know sometimes when I made the invitation, I see people say, oh my gosh, really? What are you going to talk there? And so, guys, we are the main character of your history. I know nobody can say about your story, so just about yourself. So everybody has something interesting to say. And you, of course, our talking will be something simple, something funny.
100%.
For sure.
I hope so.
So, you're from South, of course. How long have you been here in Australia?
6.5 years.
6.5 years.
So I came at the end of 2016.
Yeah.
Came straight away to study, to do my PhD. I was very excited. I was researching a bit about Perth and how beautiful was it. Life was not that beautiful at the start, let's be honest.
No, when you came here, it's so confusing.
Oh my God, we arrived and then we think we know English. And then we listen to Australians or the Aussies talking,
I know. It's so confusing. But it's like, nowadays for me, the accent is so simple.
Okay.
But before it was a little bit like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? By the way, guys, before we start, all this food here in the table, you can help yourself. But I made like a Brazilian croquette with a special recipe. I don't know if you can see, but it's like low-carb recipe. Of course, our Nutri here is going to check if it's good or not. She said it was good, but I don't know. But I put all the videos for there if you like to see the recipe. It's so easy to do. And taking more time before you cooking sometimes the pumpkin, but it's good. It's like a substitution. It's amazing. By the way, I want to say thank you for our sponsorship, for the sponsor called Blue Art by Kuka. I don't know if you guys see, but all the resin arts sound like boarding tables, chopping boards. She does this art. This is so beautiful. Please check this out in the description I put for you. And you can check it here in Perth about this situation. In whole Australia, she delivers. I cannot deliver in Brazil because you have this by wood. So wood, you can go for the immigration. Definitely, you're gonna, beep. You're not gonna go in there. So you've been here for 6.5 years, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So you have your PR, correct or not yet?
Yes, I have my citizenship.
Citizenship. How much? It's so much relief, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess the hardest part is actually the permanent residency because there are so many different pathways, but for specific careers, it's actually really hard. So I was trying to have my citizenship and my permanent residency through my dietitian background. Mm-hmm. But when I look at the profession was not there on the list that WA would like to have more dietitians here. Apparently, we have enough dietitians in WA at the moment. So I actually have to go through my research and to my background in research, PhD, and actually I did apply for a global talent visa. So that was quite exciting. I was able to prove that I did enough research, that I published enough papers, and I was actually good in my area to be able to stay in the country. So I would say that that's not the most typical pathway that majority of Brazilians will do here. But I was lucky enough to come actually with a scholarship, actually to be able to just focus on the PhD for 4.5 years, and actually then be able to apply for the permanent residency after that. So I actually waited for like 3 months to have the response. It was quite quick and was quite fortunate to do that.
That's great. Yeah, that's amazing. And so in Brazil, you did the same course, or did you do just the bacharel?
Yeah, actually in Brazil was the undergrad, so it was nutrition and dietetics. I studied at the Federal University in South of Brazil, URGS, for Brazilians. It was a difficult step forward because once you finish school, you don't know what to do. You're quite like, oh my God, there's so many courses. And then I was talking with my mom, and she was like, I don't know what you want to do. And I was like, I don't know what I want to do. You know, when you do so many vocational tests and you are like, wow. I had a good interest in nutrition because I was helping some friends. Like, you know, school, like we were like, oh, this is good, this is bad. Like, I want to try this, I want to try that. I was kind of always helping, supporting some friends to eat healthier and for no reason at all. And I was not that healthy at that time. I actually grew up with really bad habits. Like I was eating lots of sweets, lots of just carbs.
Junky.
No protein, no veggies, no fruits. It was terrible. And then kind of knowing how sick I was getting frequently and not eating well and everything, I guess it brought me even more interesting to look. I have to have a better idea about that. I have to get better on this. But in summary, when I got into uni, I was actually a bit in doubt about the course. I studied nutrition for 2.5 years, and I told my parents I don't want to study anymore. It's too hard.
No.
It was just a lot of like anatomy, physiology, biochemistry.
And it's kind of unbelievable for me because you are the person who's really intelligent. You always like to study. You always been all the research, all the studies, to stay here and everything. So it's not easy to study in a uni. It's not easy to do master. If Jesus, it's just a normal course. Sometimes you struggle about that language. And so you can imagine for you or for someone else to come in, overseas because you're not familiar with the language. We have to do lots of tests, English tests to prove this. You are capable of to study there, and plus the price. And the price sometimes is really expensive.
100%, yeah.
Yeah. So it's when you stay here. So you decide to stay. You say about it was hard because perfect was changed. WA was changed the rules to immigrants and students to stay here. So did you feel like oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to move and start everything again? It was a little big challenge for you, or you be simple?
Actually, it was quite challenging because my visa was not exactly directed to the dietitian profession. So what I have to do, I have to finish at the end of my PhD, submitting to the permanent residency. But also at the same time, when I look at the dietitian's regulation here in Australia, that is made by Dietitians Australia, you actually, if you check the website, you kind of have to prove that you did your undergrad in another country, that you did the placement, that means internship, that means estágios in Brazil. And you also have to do 2 or 3 different tests. So I have to actually save money for that, study a bit more, and actually succeed in this test. So one was just written test, the other one was oral, and the other one was pretty much all the documentation and everything that have to be approved. So actually there are a few steps for dietitians, and there are a few people that ask me about that. Oh, I did my degree in Brazil and I'm interested to work in Australia. What do I have to do? It's actually a few steps. You actually have to be a bit mindful and think about it. Do I really want to pursue this career here? Because it's not that easy. Let's be honest. It is. If it's your passion, if you love it, you just kind of do it. But in Australia, there is just so many other opportunities, so many different careers, so many different jobs that you don't even dream about doing in Brazil. I would say maybe give it a go in something else too. Why not? We are brought up with this society in Brazil that push us to study. If we're lucky enough to study in a good school, and if we're lucky enough to have parents and family to support us, we generally go to university straight away. But here in Australia, it's kind of like different. Like people have good jobs either way. Like if you go to uni or if you don't go to uni, if you study hard or if you don't study hard. I guess people just have to find what they're passionate about it. Like what I'm good, what make me feel like I want to wake up today and I want to do this. I want to help people, or I want to help building things. I want to help more being creative and with artistic stuff. So there's so many ways. But yeah, in summary, I completely changed the topic of the conversation.
No, it's amazing. No, don't worry. Here you have freedom to say, to speak, and you go and come back,
Yeah, free will.
Yeah, free will. And I was eating, guys. Sorry, I kind of love this croquette, Brazilian croquette. It's a different way. So you say about today the uni, you were saying about people change jobs, and the people here, some people study, some people not. The society here, you have like all the scales, like you have middle scale, you have rich, billionaire, you have a super billionaire, and to come to the poor, of course you have poor people, but you don't have so much poor people. It's simple jobs. As you said, you can earn some money. And definitely you can survive. Comparing to Brazil, it's kind of impossible. You have to study, you have to go to uni in Brazil. It's kind of crazy. And so, what about the costs to go to PhD here in Australia? How much is it? So did you get this paid before? Because you studied around 2 years, correct?
4.5.
4.5. Jesus Christ, 4.5. So you don't have like social life in between this, and
not much. Let's be honest. What happened is that I was at the end of my master's degree back in Brazil, and I got in touch with one professor that he had done his postdoctorate in this research group at Curtin University, and at that stage I was like, I'm done with research in Brazil. I didn't receive many incentives. I didn't have a budget to do research. In Southern Brazil is a bit different than São Paulo and Rio. There's different levels of budget and investment in research. So I was like, I really would like to have an international experience. So I spoke with this professor. He got me in touch with another professor at Curtin at biomedical science at that time. And then he actually offered me to try for an international scholarship at that stage. So I applied, I did all the tests. It took me a year to finish the process. So just lots of certificates and translations and coming back to this is approved, this is not approved. Plus the IELTS, we do have to have a high score to start at uni here. If it's just undergrad course wouldn't be that high, but because it's a PhD, so it's above undergrad masters, then you have to have IELTS 7, score 7. I did like 3 tests and I was like 6.5. I'm like, oh my God. So at the end, I end up coming to Curtin and studying for 3 months in an English course, then to get better and then be able to start my PhD. The costs was going to be massive if I was not selected for this international scholarship. That was at my memory was like 2 scholarships approved in a year. So I was lucky enough to be one of these international students. I didn't have to pay uni, and I also received a small scholarship per year. To be honest, it's not like a payment. It's not like a full payment job.
Just for surviving.
Just to pay the bills. So I could pay rent, I could buy food, I could do the minimum. And then any extra things I was doing on the side. So for example, on the first year, it was too full on. I couldn't do much. But after the first year, I already started establishing myself as dietitian and having my own private clients, having mostly Brazilians because they miss the Brazilian dietitian here. They miss our way of talking, speaking a bit more, why not Portuguese, but also the meal plans, the organization, actually being able to look at your whole life, more like a holistic approach that I feel that is more common in Brazil. It's getting more and more common here too, of course. But that was the way that I kind of started. If I didn't have the scholarship, if I have to pay, I remember looking at something like close to $200,000, the total price for the 4 years and a half. I'm not
It's
sure.
a house. It's a house.
Yeah, or half of it.
Yeah. Actually, it's like the blocks. Yeah, no, Jesus Christ, so expensive. So, guys, please, when you see the pictures, you think like, oh, the guys, just have a good fun, have a good time. That's so amazing. But actually, who see the pictures don't see how rushy we are every day. So I used to have like 5 jobs.
Yeah.
Even I have done the PhD like you. And I sometimes feel like this year I decided to say, no, when I come back to Brazil now from holiday, I just like to, I was making many thoughts about my life, what's going to happen, what I decide to have in my life. And then just like, guys, what I'm having in my life, this is not fucking life. I don't want to live in this way. So one job, a maximum 2 jobs is something like is really light, something I can have a more social life and, have a more life, have more fun because life's too short, Like suddenly we are in 30s and suddenly you're in 50s, suddenly you're 70s and suddenly you're dead.
Yeah, and I guess living in Australia gives you the opportunity to do that. We are not working to live.
Yes.
Pretty much working to pay the bills. We're actually trying to have more like a healthy balance.
Yes.
Enjoying ourselves, enjoying friends, going to the park, going to the beach, like playing beach tennis.
Yes.
Why not?
Yeah, and even like a student here, you have like so much discounts to be a student. In Brazil, you do have, but I don't feel like you have so much discount as before because uni is so pricey. Everything's so pricey. So. I even don't want to talk about this because I feel a little bit depressed about these things. But like you see many things like the gym, you see social, which is so in somehow sometimes for students is like 1/3 of the price. So it's really if you're looking for a good quality of life, Perth is definitely it's one of the amazing places. And after uni, for example. You graduated, it was amazing. You feel like what a relief, I get my social life again. But what did you do after uni? So did you find a job? Did you feel was easy to find a job, or was it something like really difficult to get it?
Yeah, because I was 4.5 years doing research, and back in Brazil too, I didn't know that much. What can I do? I was sick of academia, sick of writing. My thesis was like 400 pages. I published 4 papers in 4 years, so it was quite like full on. I remember spending weekends in the lab, and I just looked at the clock, and I was like midnight, like doing experiments, like waking up at 3-4 a.m. So it was like, when I finished, I'm like, I need kind of like a month or so to just breathe. And I started applying. As soon as I got my dietitian recognition here, my APD, being an accredited practicing dietitian, I started applying for jobs. However, it's not that easy to have the first job here. So I didn't know that was going to for us to experience a bit of prejudice, actually, like being from another country. And all the experiences that I had, it was from Brazil. And I was not going to lie, because you kind of need to add references there. You need to add a contact, someone that is going to talk there. Yeah, she worked as a dietitian here. She was good. She blah, 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 blah. So I was like, wow, it took me like around 4 or 5 months to actually get the first job.
That's unbelievable, because you study like a genius, and how can you not find an easy job? That's the thing. You've been studying, you've been dedicated yourself over time, and you'll be like overnights. It's kind of impossible to understand the situation, but I understand it somehow.
Yeah, you know what happened?
Yeah.
They classified me as overqualified for a dietitian role because I had a PhD. So there was a few interviews and when I was writing down the selection criteria, getting ready the cover letter, I was like, I will have to hide. I'll have to delete the part that I did a PhD, that I have a doctorate, because they don't want to see that. What they want to see is that what is your experience as a dietitian? What you have been doing as a clinical dietitian? So there was a couple of jobs that I actually removed it. I kept changing. I think I have applied for like 60 jobs, something like that. 60 on the last 2 years.
Jesus Christ. No, it's a lot. Honestly, it's a lot. For me, okay? It's a lot. But anyway, because it's kind of, for example, I'm in the health industry, and I don't... You have some challenges, but it's not the same challenge. Like, because it's in high demand, so they need people. Like hospitality, they need people. If you just drop your idea, people say, "Hey, come to do a trial."
Yeah.
You know, it's something that's not. It's not make sense for me. But anyway, and do you think like when you finish, you decide to have like your own business, or do you work in a company? Do you think like it was easier to work in a company or have your own business?
I actually thought about my own business because I had my private clients for a while, which you were one of them.
Yes. Well, I'm Greg and I actually. Being when we decided to go to Brazil. But he got sick, but we couldn't go. But we decided to go for a while. Yeah.
So I thought about having my own business, but the stress on the side, the overworking, and my parents have their own business in Brazil, and I know a couple of friends that have their own business there and here. I know that it's really hard to separate your personal life and then the business life, and it's just not my style. I really admire people that can have their own business, that can just like, I got this, I know how to organize the finances, this, and this. I'm just not one of this person. I just want to arrive, work, and goodbye.
Guys, see ya, clock off. I know the time.
Come back home without kind of like, I need to do this.
You know the good things about this, working for, of course, I have my podcast, is my own business, but it's everything's settled, so I don't have to worry about many things, because it's like a conversation, you know. But when you work in a business, you clock in, clock out, and then this, and then. But the owner, oh Jesus Christ, this guy or this girl, I have I have all my compassion, because and if people calling sick, and people calling for not coming for any reason, you have any issues, like I was like, oh Jesus Christ, you have to be an owner, you have to be, and you have to pay these people.
Yeah.
Anyway, you have to pay these people.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's hard.
And honestly, as a dietitian too, having my private clients, and I had more Brazilian clients during my whole years here in Australia. There was a lot of ups and downs in our life, right? So there was a lot of changes in motivation. So I want to see the dietitian. I want to see Karina. No, I don't want to see Karina anymore. Oh, I don't have results to show. I don't want to see. So there was a lot of changes in appointments, postponing. And I got a bit like, I don't have enough patience for that sometimes.
You know what I felt? I like in dietitian, all my experience in dietitian, because I always have a balanced diet. But I feel like it's hard to compare ourselves with social media, because we see like a strong muscular guy. They say, guys, I'm being diet, and he show all the healthy food, but you don't know. You don't know after. You don't know the supplements. You don't know if he's taking steroids. If he's, there is lots behind
genetics,
the scenes.
Clinical, medical health, everything.
How much you invest in this? It's not okay. Food is 70. I think food is almost 90% for everything, but we always compare ourselves with someone else, and the social media is a little bit like tricky, and it triggered people a lot, mainly like in pandemic. I heard lots of people saying about dietitian, and they get fat because they wasn't movement, haven't moved their bodies for a while. The gyms were closed. Many people don't have weights at home, and they couldn't go out because in many places you have some laws that oblige you staying in the place, and couldn't go out. So, what a nightmare for people to see everybody like work out at home and have this body. And people are like, oh, fuck off! I'm not doing this. So it's crazy.
If you look at the numbers of mental health disorders, issues over the last 2 years, they just jumped like. It was a dramatic increase in the majority of countries, and associated with that, of course, it doesn't impact our weight. It does impact how we're feeling. generally, if we're in a bad mood, if we're more like in a low mood, we tend to not have the best food choices. And the opposite also helps. So if we're not having the best food choices, we also tend to stay in that low mood. So it's kind of like a cycle. So it is actually amazing how nutrition and psychology are kind of together. But I'll add the exercise on that kind of triangle there, because it's really, really important. I wouldn't count, like, as you said, like nutrition as 90%. I would say like probably half and half, or probably a third. Like there's mental health, there's definitely the exercise component, and definitely the food and nutrition. But a lot of what we tend to not respect nowadays is actually our genetics. Like, look at your parents, look at your family, look what you have learned at home. Like, it's not that easy to be completely different.
No.
And if you want, you can still be, but we have our genetics. We do have our body composition as it is. If we're a bit taller, if you're less taller, if you have a small bone density or not, if you tend to gain weight easily, you cannot compare yourself with another family that probably a bit more skinny, or probably there was more like larger scale weight on that family. So I completely agree with you. Social media has been not the greatest influence in the majority of people's life.
And it make the dietitian as well as a villain.
Yeah, 100%. So everyone that sees me, like, they start hiding food. I go to a restaurant, I'm like, oh,
it's here. Like me, for example. I made like a Brazilian half croquette and I put mayo. Well done for me. And I said to her, like, I know mayo is not good, isn't it? And she said, it's homemade. I said, no. Yeah, that's it. I fuck off. I fucked all the healthy food. But I don't know, or that's
mayo is fine.
Mayo is
I
fine.
just don't like mayo.
Yeah.
Just a particular taste.
Yeah, don't worry. That's fine. Question. I create here some truth and myths about food and between like healthy style. Hopefully we can not fight. Can I argue here? Yeah. First question. All the food can help with the cancer treatment. I said many research about it. It's a truth, but some people saying that it's a myth because you have like radiation, chemo, nothing's compared like this. What do you think about this?
Yeah, so it's kind of like a big topic. Any of the topics that we're going to discuss. So I'll just try to be brief and summarize. There is a prevention of cancer. That is one step before of having cancer. Then definitely having a healthier eating pattern. Let's call like the 5 core groups, like eating enough veggies, eating enough fruits, eating enough whole grains, having enough fiber on your diet, dairy, protein and carbs, all in a balanced. That has been proved to prevent specific types of cancer. However, overdoing one of the food groups can actually increase the risk, for example, to develop cancer. But then we have to look specifically to what type of cancer. So, for example, eating red meat more than 3 times a week has been proved to increase the risk of cancer in the intestine, pretty much gastrointestinal cancer.
That's the reason I'm not eating so much meat. Okay, thank you guys. No, actually, because the price.
It's quite expensive here.
Oh, Jesus, it's so expensive. I was looking like a mince, like a healthy mince. You have like a lean mince, like it's very healthy, low fat, and what? Yeah, all this. I buy this one, but I see sometimes like fish. I buy fish most of the time. Good.
I was going to say I was going to ask if you buy kangaroo. Every time that I say I buy red meat, I
like kangaroo. I made it last week.
I never tried.
Yeah, I did. I like it. Honestly, I have tried and I like it many times. When I want to eat some mince, I prefer to eat like kangaroo because it's healthier than the red meat.
Lean meat.
Yeah, beautiful.
But I didn't finish to answer the question. Right. Then if you already had cancer, there are, again, coming back to the healthier eating, eating more veggies, more fruits, more omega-3, it definitely can increase your immune system. That means being stronger to fight against cancer or to prevent more virus, bacteria, and other infections that can be quite detrimental if your immune system is already a bit low. And then if you're experiencing different cancer treatments, if you're in chemo, if you're in radiotherapy, there are, again, specific recommendations for every phase of the treatment. So sometimes people will lose appetite, and then we can add supplements. We can add specific recommendations to help these people. So it's quite like a bigger picture here, but just, summary.
That's interesting.
I hope so.
Yeah, no, it is. It's so interesting because, for example, we have like a lot of myths about food. Some people, I sorry guys, I want to say, okay, but it's my opinion. I am so tired to see trends about food.
Yeah,
I remember when I was early 20s, the goji berry. You remember the goji berry?
Oh, yeah.
Jesus Christ! It was so expensive in that day. Oh, so here we go. Early 20s, okay? I'm 37 now. So you can imagine, like a whoop. So you don't have so much research about the situation. So I remember when the green tea was the miracle for lose fat, for example. So the trend is really tricky as well, you know. So you have to be careful about this. 100%. But it's interesting. It's so interesting. For example, what's the best food for lose weight? For example, if you eat, like many people do some diet. I see because I did this many times. So I take so much, like for example, some week no workout properly or so busy, because many people are in the same situation, busy workout, like a working 2-3 jobs and then come back home. Are you sure you're going to the gym? No way, you're not going to the gym. You're gonna come back, take a shower, have a glass or 2 glasses of wine, and you choose something easy to eat in bed. So in this situation, for example, you have a so busy life. What's the best food for you can have, like when you're in a rush, for example?
In a rush, good question. I like to simplify healthy eating. It doesn't have to be complex. It doesn't have to spend hours and hours cooking, for example. There's no one specific food that I can say this is good. Food is actually a combination. It's actually what we eat on the whole day, on the whole week, for many months that can help us out or not. Easy lunch or dinner types. That could be a wrap. That could be just a sandwich. That could be a quick salad that you add some source of protein, that you add a bit of chicken, a bit of tuna, some cheese, olives, avocado, that you add capsicum, that you make it quite colorful. That could be simple as if you're too tired. That could be yogurt and fruits. That could be a smoothie that you blend fruits with milk or yogurt or both, and that's it. So that could be quite simple in a way that I feel like the majority of people struggle not with the cooking. I think it's more about organizing themselves, more about shopping, more about having a list. Okay, I'm going to buy this, and this for the week, and I'm going to do this, and this in specific days. I understand that people will arrive tired and they don't want to cook. That's fair enough. But then can you separate an hour in your week to then organize the food for the whole week?
I cook for 15 days, guys, and frozen all the meals. Sometimes it's boring, yes, in some we eating all the same thing. So I'll try to vary about fish. I put some beans. I put some soy meat. Not too much because otherwise you fart. Sorry, but you fart, honestly. And I cook lots of lentils. Always doing something like different. Yeah,
and you can also kind of increase the variety. Actually, I just have all the oven and everything, like cooking at the same time, like cooktop, oven, cooking different types of carbs, different types of protein at the same day. Adding roasting some veggies or just buying the packages of salad here. There's so many things ready to go. You can buy cans of tuna, chickpeas, lentils. You can buy frozen veggies. It's not like food has to be 100% always fresh and the most natural type. It's actually whatever it fits with your day, like whatever is better for your lifestyle.
It depends of the pocket as well, because your wallet, because it's come on, we know the fruit is increasing. Sometimes I see here it's a different kind of pasta. We have a high protein of pasta. I will not say the brand, okay, because you're not paying no sponsor, okay, darlings, but there is some options. That's the thing, like comparing to this health pasta to the other pasta, the normal pasta with semolina and everything. This is like $1, and the other one is $5.
Yeah,
like 200 grams. And the other is 500 grams.
100%.
If you have a kids, you have a family. Of course, you have the big portions.
Yeah, and I think the balance here is that 1 week you buy one pasta, the other week you buy the other one, and kind of just mix it up. Like it doesn't have to be the most expensive parts. Nobody said it have to be a specific high protein or high fiber pasta. Talking about that, with the majority of the carbohydrates, what is actually kind of healthier and helps our gut function, helps our immune system, help us to have more vitamins and minerals. Specifically, vitamin B complex will be the whole grains, so we'll be having more high fiber carbohydrates. That means the whole meal bread, the whole meal pasta, whole grains in general. So that could be cereal, that could be toast bread, as I said. That could be rice, so the brown rice, for example. Overall, the darker color, like me, brown, like us, healthier it is in that sense, with more fiber. So that's what makes me actually be sad nowadays. There is a terrorism about carbohydrates. They're like, no, we cannot eat carbs. Carbs are the villain. They are the bad guys. Honestly, the majority of people are actually lacking concentration, have low energy levels, fatigue, low iron, low in a lot of vitamins and minerals, or just feeling down, and that's lack of carbohydrates. We need carbs for concentration. We need carbs because glucose is the only fuel for our brain. We need carbs to improve immune system, and we need to nurture these bacteria that live in our gut to keep them alive, keep them help us out to increase our immune system.
Yeah, and it's the good thing you said about the carbs, like at nighttime. For example, but some people, I saw many times in a diet, that's no carbs at night. Of course, if you train, of course, you need carbs. It has vitamins and it's resources of vitamins for your body. But in the times, for example, when you don't have a workout, some people say, oh, it's not good for you, have a carbs. So, nighttime carbs, is it a good match or not?
It is only a good match if you pray after eating the carbs.
Really? Do you have to pray? Oh my gosh! So sorry, carbs. I'm not praying for you.
No, that's a myth, and that's what social media, TV, television, journalists, whoever want to talk about nutrition and have not studied for a long time. And of course, I'm trying to talk here about what I have researched or what I have read before. I'm not saying what I think about it. So that's research evidence. And of course, I don't know everything, so there might be a few things that I'm not up to date. But overall, there's no studies that have shown that carbs are bad to be eating at night. How people gain weight will be mostly overeating or drinking too much, like more alcohol or soda, more sugary drinks, or the combination of everything plus lack of exercise. So as generally younger people do more exercise, and then there is a stage in our life that we start getting a bit more like
lazy,
tired,
lazy baga.
Yeah, that's it. Are you having some empathy for this moment? Not yet.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Actually, I'm a pretty active person. I am. I love to get active. I love to go to the gym, running. Actually, I quite like my private PT. He always telling me like, I know you are obsessed for not getting fat, blah blah blah, but less carbs, more strength, because you are in the age that you need to do more strength workouts. Because for your body, for when you're getting older, and Jesus Christ, I'm 37, but anyway, but over years, it's make your bones, your tendons.
I forgot how it's done.
Yeah, it's like all the muscles and everything, so like make your body works much better.
Yeah.
So it's that's the thing, you know. That's you have to be careful about your food and what's the habits you're having now.
Yeah.
You can cause in the future soon.
Yeah, but in summer, eat your carbs. Be happy with your carbs.
Yeah, eat your fridge. Your what's the name? Fish and fish chips. Yeah,
Fish and chips, yeah.
You can see many people. Question: alcohol versus workouts.
Yeah.
I saw many videos about this, and people saying alcohol, no alcohol, you can't have alcohol, but blah blah blah. And when I look at the videos, I see the guy really muscular saying that. What about drugs? Because you take a lot of drugs, and you know, okay, but this drugs helps you got like a balloon. But in terms of myth and truth, work. I know, of course, you're gonna hungover, you don't think properly. Feel a little bit dizzy and you feel like, oh Jesus, what's happening, and you don't think better because of course when you drink everything, like when you get a hangover, you go over here for the head, you get it so super, you know, flying in different moon. But is it safe to say like some standard drinks is alright to drink, there is no like doesn't damage, not damage, but that doesn't damage my workout plan?
So what I have read in studies was mostly like the relationship between alcohol intake and muscle synthesis, muscle increase in protein synthesis. So pretty much muscle gain. That doesn't happen. So what happens is on the day that you're drinking, generally there is a negative, there is kind of like a block in the pathway to increase muscle mass. That was kind of the focus on what I was studying previously. So I didn't focus too much in studying the effects of alcohol, for example, for cardio exercise or for other kind of benefits of detrimental. Well, what I can say for sure is that there's no recommendation for alcohol. It's the same as sugar. We don't need it. Generally, it's as less as possible you can drink, healthier, because there's a lot of studies showing that any alcohol intake actually increases the risk of cancer. Many types of cancer, and also it is quite detrimental for our mental health. So if people are drinking more frequently, they are more likely to have aggressive behaviors, to have ups and downs in their mood. They are not related to anything that is happening in their life. It's just the alcohol. They are more likely to struggle on the next day for recovery and pretty much waking up. The hangover, traditional hangover, come on. Dehydration is a thing. Majority of people are not drinking lots alcohol and also drinking lots of water. So say if you could choose and you can actually that organize with your life, drink in different days that you're actually training. But if there's no option, then drink a bit more far away or as less as possible, or keep hydrating yourself. If you wake up hangover, I think is even better if you do exercise. I think you'll feel better either way. Just have some carbohydrates before, because alcohol doesn't give you that many energy. It's more like something toxic that our body's trying to get rid of. So kind of that alcohol don't count as carbs for exercise. It's not like drinking and going to the gym. No, we need carbs. We need a fruit, we need a toast, we need yogurt, we need cereal bar, any types of carbs, granola with yogurt.
That's good. Yeah.
Not good, but
yeah, it's not good. But come on, it's adult life, it's social life. You're not going there to get a green juice. No, you're not going in the pub and say, "Hey, can I have a green juice?" No, you're not saying that, because everybody gonna look at you like, "What the fuck, man? You come here like have a green or a tomato juice." You know, that some people. Yeah. I used to work with someone, and she always go out and he ask you for a tomato juice without alcohol.
Try it.
No, it's very citric. Not for me. In terms of protein, what's the best protein you can have? It's just like the meat. You said about like the red meat, no more than 3 times weekly. That's recommended according to the research. But in terms of the protein, what's the best? Powder, grains, plant-based, which is like the high trend at the moment. Chicken, white meat, in these terms, fish. What's the best? Suitable, better for our health.
Over all the questions that you ask me would be like, it depends.
Depends.
And people don't want to hear that.
People are not ready for that.
No. Depends on what the person wants. Like, what is your weight? What is your goal? How much protein you're having a day? Are you vegetarian? Are you vegan? Do you eat meat or not? But in summary, what I would say is that more natural, better. So if you can take advantage of a good variety of different protein, true food, much better. So have your chicken, have fish, have salmon, white or not fish, have the red meat, have pork. It's more like about the balance. Have your eggs that have good protein. When it comes from animal sources, we call that there is all the amino acids there, all the essential amino acids that our body needs is automatically that in one protein, in one animal protein. And when we choose more like vegetarian types of protein, let's say, for example, legumes, the group of beans, the group of lentils, chickpeas, green beans, then generally we have to have a combination of these legumes, so a big variety, to then be able to have a good intake of all the amino acids, the essential amino acids that our body needs. So what I'm saying here is just depends, specifically if you're a vegetarian or not. The powders and the more like processed food, they came with a strategy. How can I have protein and at the same time have low fat or no fat and no carbs? And the majority of the food types, they have a combination. They are not only one nutrient, right? So when you eat your meat and when you have your eggs, it's a combination of protein with fat. There's pretty much no carbs, so we'll have more vitamins and minerals there. So what they did with the powder is pretty much extracting and taking advantage of just the protein part and then giving to us to mix with food, to prepare a smoothie, to just drink as it is. It is a good strategy for after workout if you're doing weights, for example. However, I don't see why you could not just eat your protein. Just have the plant-based. Just cook your lentils and leave it there. Just have eggs after. Just have a full meal. Just have your breakfast or just have dinner. Generally, it is enough for the majority of people. However, as a sports dietitian, I would say for athletes or for people that are competing really heavy exercise, long duration of exercise, that's another story. Then we can think about, oh my God, maybe supplementation is interesting. Maybe I cannot reach that much that I need a day, for example, protein, or for example, carbs. That's more common even with carbs, not with protein. Protein, the service is one a day. If you want to memorize, is your whole hand once a day. Who cannot eat that? With the meat or with legumes, that's it. We don't need much more than that. However, carbohydrates is 3 or 4 times more than that.
Yes.
And of course, we calculate that individually per person. But overall, I would say there is no point to go to a supplement if you actually don't need it, if your body don't need it. And then talk with a dietitian. We can see if you need or not.
Yes, of course. And definitely you have to check, guys, because if you try something in the gym or something that you try to improve, you're not getting probably is the food. Not about sometimes the train, it's about the food. You need to check, you need to change. Because you said to me many times, like our body get used to for food like for 3-4 weeks and then you have to change the diet. Not completely, but change some plan to make it work again. They say, hey, this is a new food and you need to make like our body think about this again. Is it true, right?
Yeah, we call plateau and that helps with exercise too. That's why we change the exercise types. We change the frequency or we change the volume. Are we doing more repetitions or are we increasing weights? So what happens with our body is that generally our body tends to stay in a healthiest range that we spend the majority of the life at. So for example, your healthiest weight will be around 65, will be around 70. And then if you put it like 5 kilos or 10 kilos, then your body start getting used to this 75 and extra 10 kilos again. But what happened with this plateau is our body tends to adjust, tends to adapt to, like, this is the amount of carbs that I'm receiving every day, this is the amount of protein, this is the amount of fat. And similar to the exercise, ideally we want to change these macronutrients. We want to change the balance to give it a bit of like a motivation, a push to your body to then lose weight or just to increase muscle mass or whatever is your goal. But honestly, I have been questioning myself if we need to change body composition. In the past, the majority of people used to schedule appointments with me to change body composition, and that's somehow is the influence of the society, the social media. You have to increase muscle mass, you have to lose fat. Who say that?
Yeah.
Right? So I have been questioning more my clients who say that.
Yeah, us. And checking and comparing ourselves. I always say to people, like, I still enjoying saving money to have like my lipo HD and I have my abs. My abs like the Donatello from the Ninja's Turtle, like 600 packs, like like one day.
What is more important is things.
Ego!
The essential is only visible.
Yeah.
Not visible with the eye.
I know, no, just joking. Sometimes it's self-acceptance is necessary because I start to understand what's the body in between my family, how's the shape of the body. Yeah. So everybody has the same shape. So I was looking, it was like, like it's not just me. All my brothers are the same shape. Like you have like the center a little bit more large. And have the legs the same way. So it's like, guys, come on, just get the best version. Go to the gym, work out, eat healthy. Definitely you're gonna make somehow something different. Yeah. In terms, I was asking, I saw you saying about vitamins. It's very taboo about vitamins because nowadays in the internet everybody's selling vitamins. This is so good. Let's perform like advertisement.
Magnesium.
Guys, this is the best vitamin you can have. This is the best vitamin because they give you all the resources. Your skin is good. They get a tone, and your skin has a lot. Look at my skin, how shiny is it? So I'm taking this vitamin 3 a day. They show the person taking the vitamins. Look at the caps with gelatin and that's blah blah blah. There is no sugar, and you have blah 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 blah.
Vegan.
And everybody takes like you go in, like in a train, follow the train. You go like a kettle, and it goes like follow everybody like a moo, and you don't think about it. You don't think like what's gonna happen in 5 years, 10 years. I saw people fighting, for example, for the vaccine. They say, "Oh no, taking this shit, blah blah blah." But you taking some vitamins, you don't know where it's from. So it's like take drugs, and just take it because you just take it. So
yeah.
Vitamins, supplements. What kind of supplements I can take without having any risk of my health risk, for example?
I would say none. You shouldn't take anything. That wouldn't be long-term research to prove that the majority of the supplements that we are having, depending on the dose, it's fine, it's safe. The majority of supplements will be more like short-term use. So there will be a few months, there will be a few days, there will be a year maximum. So I was going to comment that it makes me a bit sad that I have studied 12 years, but people still want to believe on a blogger on the social media or whatever, or on the internet, or friend told me.
Yeah, which made like a 306 plastic surgery, and then she puts like she takes that vitamin to change her life, and people still believe.
And you know what? The majority of the patients that I have been seeing, clients, but mostly in the previous years, I think it's getting slightly better now. They arrive at the consult, or I used to go to their house, and I arrive at their house, they bring me a huge box of supplement. It took me ages just to see what the person was taking. There was just so many different types. And in my head, I'm like, why people are not eating? Like, why they're just not searching for this in food? In summary, if you do blood tests and you're deficient in a specific vitamin and mineral, that makes sense to fix that deficiency and have the replacement. if you cannot get through diet, so let's say iron is a specific one. The majority of women are iron deficient, and I think even more here in Australia. I don't know if it's something related with the soil, if it's something related with the red meat, whatever. We cannot get our iron levels that high and that quick just eating better. We generally need the supplement. Just if you're deficient, it takes many, many months for the iron levels to increase. So we need to take the supplement. That's a specific example. However, we check your bloods first. We notice that you're deficient. It's not only iron level, it's actually iron studies that we have to check. It's actually the storage of iron that is called ferritin. And then we also increase the iron levels through diet. However, the majority of the other supplements people are taking just because of advertising, just because the power of industry, just because it sells.
Do you believe, for example, like in terms of pregnancy, okay? I see all the vitamins in the pregnancy. Of course, I know it's different when you have like someone inside you, because they take your vitamins and everything. So in terms of the pregnancy, the vitamins you still have to have. How it works in terms of these vitamins when after the baby had, you born the baby? So, so why the women still have to take sometimes vitamins for the whole whole life because after pregnancy?
It's actually the whole life.
Yeah, some women they say like they have like a deficit of some vitamins for a whole life after the pregnancy.
I'm not too sure about that. I don't know if it's a specific kind of case scenario. But I would say what happens when you're pregnant is actually there is increase in the requirements, specifically of iron, specifically of acid, folic. So there is a lot of tissues being built there. So there's a lot of kind of extra needs, as you said, for the baby, but also considering the placenta, considering nourishing the baby, but consider also like building all the tissues, brain, everything that we need in a whole little baby body. That's why the increasing requirements, and it's actually quite high, these levels of vitamins and minerals, the specific ones that you need, and that's why it's recommended the supplement. It is safe. There was a lot of studies about that, and also it has been proven that it's better to take the supplement than the opposite, have any possible complications on the baby. So no one want to risk that. After the pregnancy, there will be the lactant moment, so the mother will be breastfeeding their child. So there is also increasing requirements to produce that milk, to actually be able to organize all the regulation of hormones, and also the quality of the milk with all the vitamins and minerals that the baby needs. Just after that, I would say that the woman will come back more to, okay, that's just, now it's about myself, and that will be after finishing breastfeeding. That might be 6 months, that might be a year, that might be 2 years. There are babies that are up to 4 years, and there's still breastfeeding happening. So I'm not too sure about the deficiencies that are ongoing. There might be some pathways, might have some mechanisms there, receptors, something that is not working well. But I'm not too sure, I will be honest.
I see. And in terms of, like when you do the blood test to see what's the deficit about the vitamins. These vitamins, when you take like, okay, you can say iron, I need to take iron. I try food, beans, lots of things like almonds, lots of things you have iron. Now you don't have iron anymore. So, or you're not producing by food. So you have to take vitamins. Okay, I took vitamins. And then I saw after somehow I come back and I did a check. Yes, good. Okay, I have irons enough. So I can stop to take vitamins.
Generally not.
Okay.
Generally will be an ongoing thing, and depending on the levels, will be the same level every month that you're going to take. So it might be the full capsule, it might be half of the capsule. So your doctor, generally the GP, is going to check it and make a plan together with you. One thing here in Australia is that the majority of GPs wouldn't be requesting bloods for any reason at all. So it has to be a reason behind. So are you tired? Are you not sleeping well? Are you not eating well? You kind of have to have some clinical aspects or signs and symptoms there. That's one aspect. That's I cannot say much about that, but prevention is quite different between Brazil in a medical guidelines and here in Australia. And the other thing is that if you're taking the tablet in the right way, so iron, for example, together with caffeine sources, it's not good. It actually blocks the absorption. However, if you have iron together with vitamin C, it helps a lot the absorption. That's why I'm not a big fan of multivitamins and actually all the vitamins together in one supplement, because generally there are some competition there. Generally there is one vitamin that is not able to be absorbed together with another one. And that's what the majority of people do. They take lots of supplements together. They want one thing that has a package and has everything and is going to sort it out my life. And there's no magic.
No, that's definitely not magic. So to finalize this myth and truth, what's the best advice you give for people and try to keep this the health style active, and in terms of people as well that don't have this lifestyle and then it's so hard to start. So what do you recommend?
It is quite individual. So there's different things that work for different people. So it depends where you're at the moment. Are you in a moment that you're ready for change? Or you're in a moment that you're contemplating, that you're reflecting on it? Sometimes it makes it harder for people to actually start something new if they're not convinced that they need it. So if you're happy with as it is, just continue as it is. Don't get into the dieting rule. Don't get into I need to do this and this of exercise. More about what life you want to live. I think that's my first question. Who I want to be. What type of things I want to do in life. If you are somehow being impacted by your choices in a bad way, so somehow this is reflecting in your health, you're not feeling the best, are you a bit more bloated, are you a bit more tired, you see that your friends are doing this and that, you're not being included, then I feel that that's a moment, that's something there's an evidence that you might want to change something. I would say start with whatever is easier for you. It might be exercise, it might be going for a walk with a friend, it might be slightly being more aware of what you're eating. It might be eating slowly. It might be drinking more water in the day. It might be changing slightly the snacks that you're having. You might be having snacks because you're not having any snacks. You might be including more meals a day, eating more regularly because you eat 1 meal or 2 meals a day. Different things will work for different people. I would say if you don't have enough motivation, definitely seek for a health professional, but it doesn't have to be that dietitian.
No.
That could be a therapist, that could be a psychologist, that could be
something
a PT.
Something ongoing, never stop easily.
Yeah.
Because I feel like every time comes, like every year for me, it comes much more like I have to keep going, not stopping, at least like 4 or 5 times weekly, moving myself. Of course, you can have some days off that say, hey, today is the day. I'm going to watch something TV. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to do something. Yes, something that I just want to focus on myself, but I don't want to move my body. And that's all.
That's okay.
That's totally okay.
I'll add into that question on the answer, just say, like, find something that you actually enjoy. Because the majority of exercise, for example, that people choose to do, they don't like it.
Yeah.
Like there's any sports. There's beach tennis.
Beach tennis, I figured out here. It's amazing.
Footy, soccer, whatever it is, swimming. Like find something, or if it's not a sport, that you're connected with. So it might be social. That might be chatting with your friends and doing Pilates together.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it is. What it matters is like it brings you joy. There's something there that makes you keep going, that you like it. And once you establish that pattern, that 21 days to kind of change the habit, then once it's part of this 21 days, it just goes. It just flows. You just like, I'm doing because I like it. I'm doing because I'm feeling better. I'm doing because my mental health is better. We actually increase like really good hormones when we're doing this exercise. So that's why we also feel better.
That's great. And I know you aren't really a quite spiritual person. Let's talk about this. So when did you figure out you weren't spiritual person?
I think the initial of the experience when was my grandfather died in Brazil. I was 17 years old.
Sorry for that.
That's okay. We all experience it, losses, right? And I have a much better understanding now. But when I was 16, 17 years old, I was just like crying lots. I was just, I don't understand the meaning of life. Actually, I remember when I was a kid, I used to have nightmares and wake up my mom in the middle of the night. And I'm like, why we all die? Why we are going to die? Like quite a desperate, like not understanding like what is the meaning of life if we all die? If we all have these connections, we have families, we have friends, we have careers, we develop ourselves, we do so much. Why are we even born if we're going to die? Things just didn't make sense in my head. However, I started going to spiritual groups, and my auntie, she's a medium back in Brazil. I started asking her more questions, and I was like, I used to go to the spiritual center, even though I was grow up like going to the church and praying and doing all these things, like studying Catholic school. But I used to go to the spiritual center in Brazil, and nothing kind of makes sense. I just felt better. You know the energy levels? Like I arrived tired, I arrived with a headache, I arrived feeling unwell. Once I was inside there, I was just feeling better. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but I'll keep going. It's making me feel better. I'll keep going. But then I started trying to study, and nothing kind of makes sense. You know, when you're trying to read the Bible and all these different names and different things. And at that time, it was not the Bible, but it was quite complex. Just reading books, spiritual books. Nothing makes sense. Once I came to Australia, I was on my second year here. I'm pretty sure the end of the first year or second year, I had a breakup. A long-term relationship, well, actually my first partner. So we broke up. It was 5 years of relationship. I was feeling down, and suddenly I found a spiritual group, just people meeting in a house and reading about emotions, reading about common things in life, sharing their experiences. And I'm like, that's what I need. This group kind of was together for a year, and then we decided there was actually a spiritual center open before that was actually closed because of the lack of volunteers. There was pretty much a few of the volunteers at that stage had kids, they were busy, and the spiritual center didn't exist anymore. But all the paperwork was done, all the bureaucratic, all the hard stuff was actually done, was ready to go. And we were like, one of the volunteers said, like, of this small group, said, like, let's just do it. There's more people like us. And of course, because it's in Portuguese, we thought about the Brazilian community. There are more people here that need support. More people that arrive here, feel lost, miss their family, break up. There was different things happening. Of course, family losses. And we were like, let's do it. So this was 4 years ago that I started actually working as a volunteer in the spiritual group. The name of the group is San Francis Spiritist Center. Is in Scarborough, actually between Doubleview and Caringup. But the majority of Brazilian community is living in Scarborough at the moment, so we kind of thought it was a good spot for them. Sorry, João. You're a bit far away. Not too far away. 25 minutes.
No. And do you have readings, for example, for foreigner people?
Not yet, but what we decided to do this year, actually the administrative body, we kind of have a good conversation about that, and we actually would like to include other nationalities, and because we are only speaking Portuguese, we are not including anyone, only Brazilians. So ideally now we are going to have around every 6 weeks, one talk in English. All the other talks are in Portuguese. So what happens with this spiritual group, a lot of people might be thinking, what do you guys do? There's actually a talk, actually a presentation, just about general topics.
Yes.
And then there's 15 minutes that we call like a passe. It's more like, how can I call it in English? How can I explain it?
It's an exchange of energy.
Exchange of energy, beautiful. It's not like a meditation, but it's more like kind of closing your eyes, sitting down and It's similar to Reiki. There will be someone there helping you out with your energy levels.
Yep.
And then after that, we have a small time for a study that you can stay or not. You just leave it after. But for me, the spiritism that is studying spirits just make me more understanding about life. It just makes more sense. And honestly, for me, I'm quite clear with people that ask me, "Oh, do you believe or you don't believe?" For me, it's not a belief. There's a lot of science. There's actually a lot of proof. If you want to open Netflix and watch the After Death Experience documentary there, they can prove there are so many researchers and so many people actually studying this for a while. So you can agree or disagree, and that's okay, and we can talk about that. But it's not, for me, it's not much about belief. And of course, if you have faith, it helps. So in summary, spiritism will be kind of like a body of knowledge. We call that is a philosophy together with religion, together with science, and that just brings more perspective into life. And what we do understand is that there is not only one life, there will be other lives, multiple existence within your spirit. So the spirit will be alive for many, many body lives. So it happens here in Earth, it stay on Earth, but we'll have other opportunities to do other things. And the main reason why this makes sense for me is that is a passage, we are like in a school here, exchanging experiences, struggling, suffering, having difficult moments, yes, but we are learning from that.
Yep.
We can choose. There is the free will, right? So
yes.
We can choose to learn from it, or we can repeat
choose
cycles.
To suffering.
Keep repeating cycles in life. But what happens is that for a lot of people, it doesn't have to be spiritism, but for a lot of people that are quite spiritual, this brought much more meaning, and it kind of just comfort our hearts. And that's kind of the mission of the group, is kind of helping people to comfort their hearts and, kind of share what we know.
Why not?
We share all the lack of what we don't know yet.
So it's very traditional here in Porto Alegre. We do like I make I don't know when it is in English, but it can be like a ping pong. Yeah. Okay. So so you don't need to be very fast, but I make some questions for you, and you try to get it.
Yeah.
A dream that you haven't realized yet.
A dream.
You haven't come through. Sorry, that's the much better English.
Okay, there are a few.
Yeah, it can be financial as well. It can be whatever. It's a dream. That's
I'm not too sure yet, but I think I want to be a mom.
Mom, how many kids?
It could be one.
One.
It's not about the number.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about the quality.
And about love. Yeah, exactly.
Respect, yeah.
And what's the advice you give for Karina for 7 years ago to now?
7?
Yeah, if you can see yourself behind and you say, "Hey, darling."
Oh, that's a beautiful thing to say. Yeah, patience. Just be patient.
And go 3 o'clock in the library. That's fine.
Have been more or less. I have been always a bit anxious, a bit like I need to move to the next step. But I did undergrad, master's degree, PhD. What is the next step? Citizenship, permanent residency.
Jesus!
I'm 32 years old, and I'm like, wow. Now I can kind of stop and reflect on my life. Like, what?
And
the
relax.
shit I have done in this last.
No, and relax.
6 years.
Like to try to survive. No, to survive. Yeah, you survive it, but now it's like.
No more in the survival mode, 100%. So be more patient, and I still have to be. So it's an advice for right now too.
Yes, right now too. That's good. And also, for example, if you can change something in yourself, what it gonna be? What would it be? Sorry.
Yeah, I have high expectations in general, and that's about myself, but it's also about others. So I would definitely, and I'm doing therapy, so I'm already changing.
I think everybody needs to do. It's something that you never can stop. And then after the pandemic, people understand. Some people understood what happened, like our mental health. You need to discuss about this. And during the pandemic, I lost Greg, and was like my closest family here. I was like lost in terms, and I was denying everything. So it's after I started the therapy, I was understanding like it's okay not be okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. I can push myself so much, and I think therapy is something miracle. The people just look at you and say, "Hi, how are you going?" You never stop that shit. And suddenly, when you see 1 hour, done.
There's 100%. There's more and more and more and more and more. You know what I discovered in therapy? I didn't know that much, but there's so many different types of therapy. But schemas are the one that is quite particular, like more interesting for me is that we have learned as child or as adolescents or whatever period of our life to have a particular response to an action, and then we keep repeating that response. However, because our life is changing, we don't need to do the same thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, for example, there is a trigger, and then we react in that way.
Mm-hmm.
The trigger will keep happening because we have many different triggers in life. But ideally, we would like to have a different response to what happened 5, 10, 15, or a month ago. We just would like to kind of learn different ways to act or react to things. So again, it's many years, a lot of understanding, a lot of self-understanding, like knowing yourself. Like, why do you do what you do? Oh, because my parents told me. I think that's enough of blaming on the parents. That's enough of blaming on your ex-partner or whatever. Assume who you are.
And try to change the situation, or if
And
you don't
make the
like it,
best.
change. You know, change. If you people give, you know, like avoiding you, or because you're always bossy, because you always like have so way, change. Jesus. Change. If it's not working, everybody's like avoiding you. Everybody's not talking to you anymore. Every time you have a cycle with new friends because the old friends can keep. Fuck off. Change. Do a therapy. Recognize that sometimes you're doing something wrong. Why are you doing something wrong? Is it your way to think? Is a way to, you know, it's like everybody has a mistake and nobody's perfect, but you have to assume your mistakes.
Yeah, it's
and
not
get
easy.
and get right and somehow like understand this and that's no, I want to improve. I want to understand myself.
And once you're better, like for yourself, you can be better for others. But once you're not better with yourself, that will be really hard to help others. And living in a society, being part of a community,
Jesus, you need
we
to
should be
work. You
helping
need to do.
ourselves.
Yeah, and Jesus, you can. If you can respect yourself, how can you respect someone else? I look like a RuPaul talking, but yeah, crazy. So, how can you find you in social media, Karina?
That's no social media for me.
That's the person really low profile here, okay? But you have Facebook.
I have Facebook, yeah. Generally don't add people that I don't know though.
Okay, guys.
Sorry.
Yeah, but that's fine. That's really fine. People don't have
just a
to
bit
be
more
like high
private.
profile. Yeah, that's fine. You know.
With my personal life.
Any-
But I do work in Nutrition Works.
Yes.
It's more about sports area. I am a sports dietitian and the director of the business Advanced Sports Dietitian. But we see any client, so not only athletes or only sports area.
Where is it located?
If you Google Nutrition Works, there's a lot of different clinics. I am working Mount Lawley, close here, and also Midland.
Midland. Okay. And then you do like all the tests or just nutrition? Do blood tests or something like this?
That would be GP kind of requesting, but we do referrals. So if you need to see a GP, we will refer to. There's quite like a few Medicare plans. So for example, if the GP recognize that you have a chronic condition, you can be seen by a dietitian with 5 consults a year for free.
Oh, nice.
Or if it's more like eating disorder program, eating disorder referral, then you can be seen for even 20 consults for free. Or you can just invest a bit of your money on your health.
Yeah, that's the best investment ever. It's yourself. Yes. Guys, thank you so much, Karina, to come here. Thanks for, participating of Body B. Guys, this is the second episode in English, so please subscribe in the YouTube, subscribe in Instagram, subscribe in TikTok, We always share everything, share shorts and everything there. I want to say thank you. I hope you have lots of content to understand, lots of the myth and truth. I want to thank you, Karina, again, because I know it's late. Here in Perth, you're always sleeping like like with the chickens, and wake up really early. And thank you so much, guys. See you next time. Bye.
Thank you, João. Bye.